Let's get sweaty.
Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of the Shenmue Dojo show. I am Skilljim, and today I'm joined by two very lovely people. The first of which you already know so well, it's Matthew Oliver. How are you doing, Matt?
Yeah, good man, how are you?
Yeah, doing very well, thanks mate. Just sent off my last essay ever.
Brilliant.
Yesterday, yeah. So fingers crossed I'm going to be wearing one of those gowns soon.
Yeah.
You know, with a Picasso-style fedora thing on your head, whatever they're called.
Yeah. Your graduation,
Top
your
hat thing.
ceremony and all of that.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a relief to finally get that completed, because I feel like that's taken up, well, it has taken up 3 years of my bloody life, so it's difficult doing a sort of part-time university alongside all the other stuff we do and full-time work, so...
Yeah, I can imagine. It's mental.
It just feels like a massive weight off my shoulder now. You did a degree as well, didn't you, in sports or something?
Yeah, sports science was my degree a long time ago. I spent most of it drunk, but never mind.
Fair enough. Okay, so the second of our lovely people here today needs no introduction. So let's just move on.
Yeah.
I'm joking, of course. It's the guy that puts the ting in podcast sting. It's KC. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, that's amazing. I like that. Very untrue, but yeah. Going great, dude. Thank you. And first of all, congratulations on...
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Almost graduating. That's awesome.
Almost graduating.
Yes.
Got to pass first. Hopefully
yes.
I passed.
Hopefully. And congrats to Matt as well. Belated congrats for the sports degree.
20 years ago.
and being drunk as well. Thank you for having me, guys.
Oh, it's good. It's great to finally get in the show, man. Casey's actually the guy that gave us our start in podcasting.
Yeah, Christ.
Forever grateful to you, man.
I apologize to everyone.
No, it's been good. It's been good fun, actually. Who thought there'd be this much to talk about Shenmue, eh?
Wow.
Never enough time.
Never enough time. But anyone that isn't familiar with yourself, Casey, who are you? I assume you're a Shenmue fan, right?
Yes, first and foremost. I mean, not first and foremost. I'm many things, but yeah, that's one of the important ones. And yeah, I'm a podcaster, like you said. I've been doing some radio shows on Radio SEGA as well for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized my first show on Radio SEGA turns 10 years old this year in September, which is amazing. And the Sega Lounge, which is my main podcast, my main show, turns 9 next week.
9.
So I'm not sure what this will be airing, but it turns 9.
That's insane, man.
On the 29th of May.
29th of May. Christ, yeah. So,
yes.
Well, it's time of recording 4 days away, but I don't know how long I've been listening, because, I mean, I adore the Sega Lounge. It might even be one of the well, it's not the first podcast I listened to, but it's probably one of the first. And it wasn't just for the Shenmue episodes that you did and the guests that you had on. It's just because it was a Sega themed podcast. I probably literally searched the Apple Podcast store for Sega, and your show popped up.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah
history ever since.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's exactly the reason why I do this. When I started doing this, to have conversations with people related to Sega. With fans, like-minded fans as well, who have pretty great projects like Shenmue Dojo as well. That's why you guys went on the show as well. So it's been really fun. It's been a fun 9 years, not like uninterrupted 9 years, a few years of break here and there, but 7 seasons so far of the show,
mental.
Which is
still going strong.
Still lots to talk about when it comes to Sega and Shenmue.
Yeah, definitely. And there's always new things as well, so it's never like you're not burnt out for stuff to talk about, I guess, Sega related.
For sure. Yeah, and so that's it. That's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
That's you, Casey, yeah. So one thing we like to do on the show is quickly run through the latest Shenmue news, if that's all right with you, Casey.
Sure thing. Let's do it.
Better be. It's our show. So it's all sort of community related this episode, Matt, but we're going to start with the Shenmue documentary. It's finally arrived on our doorsteps in Blu-ray form. A Gamer's Journey. Matt, did you want to talk a little bit about the documentary?
I'll keep it brief because I don't want to spoil it, and we're going to do an episode on it later on when James has had a chance to watch it. But in short, it's a fantastic documentary covering the history of Shenmue and then a little bit about Shenmue 3, as when they were sort of planning this thing, Shenmue 3 got announced and they had to start all over again. So, but it's interviews with Yu Suzuki, people around the series, fans, key figureheads like Peter Moore. It's a plethora of Shenmue history condensed into about an hour and a half. The soundtrack is fantastic. And it's going on to doorsteps now. UK shipments are, I think, nearly done. USA shipments have started, and I know they're starting sort of Europe and other places in the next week or so as well. And for anybody who is going to ask, and people will ask this, can I get this? I didn't back the original Kickstarter project. You can, once all the shipping has been done. Adam has said that he will have a few copies left over to sell to people. So if you've missed out, there will be an opportunity. And I think we've got a copy or two to give away down the line, haven't we, James, as well?
We have. We've got a copy that we're going to be probably giving away on that bonus episode that we do. I think that'll be a good place to give away a Blu-ray. So keep your eyes out on that. Interestingly, KC, you've got a show with Adam Scipione that I believe is airing as we speak, right?
Exactly. As we're recording this. It's this week's show, this week's episode of the SEGA Lounge. I was just going to say, I second whatever Matt said about the documentary. Pretty good. But I think the plan is also to have it digitally available for everyone at some point, according to Adam.
Yeah.
So even if you don't get the few physical copies available and you'd still like to watch the documentary at some point in some form, there will be an option to do that as well. So, yeah.
Very good, very good.
You haven't watched it yet, James?
I've seen the digital version,
okay,
but that was like probably about a year ago. So it took a while for my Blu-ray to actually arrive. There was some shipping issues, and that's the only reason why we've got one to give away, actually, because he went to the post office to send off a second copy to me because mine hadn't arrived 20 minutes before it arrived, which is hilarious. But yeah, so we have got an extra copy, which is good, at least for the giveaway sort of thing. But yeah, it was brilliant. When I like I say, I've not listened to it or watched it for probably about a year, but it was everything that I ever wanted or hoped that it would be, which I suppose is a good positive for it. And I'm just planning to sort of rewatch it with my wife and then make some notes and then go into the show with Matt and have a nice little chat about it at some point.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on my physical copy as well.
If they not hit the European destinations yet. I think they did Germany, maybe Germany.
Yeah, he's actually asking people to help with European shipping as well. So I'll probably be helping with the Portuguese ones as well.
Oh, that's a good idea. Is there a lot of Portuguese?
There are a few, there are a few. More than I expected.
Interesting. That's good.
So good job, Portuguese fans.
Right, so next up, I want to talk a little bit about the latest Sukapass update. Me and Switch have just released this. This is version 1.9 of the app, and the latest update restores the feature of the free market. So, this is a bit of an interesting one because back in the day, so on the Dreamcast, obviously on the Shenmue Passport, you'd go online with VMU or whatever it was around. You'd have to win these prizes from the slot house. So, when you get like your 3 7s that pop in on the slot machines and the bloke comes over to you and says, here you go, here's some cherries or something. Basically, you'd go online after winning that item and you'd be able to swap that item for one of the animal toys on this free market thing. This, the antique guy, the Uishi-san guy, he's got like a stall set out in Suzumi Park with all these animals on. And it was the only way that you could get the animal capsule toys into your Shenmue game on the Dreamcast anyway. They did actually incidentally release with the Shenmue 1 and 2 release, they had all the animal toys automatically in Ryo's inventory, which was a nice touch. I don't know if they realised it was because they were like blocked by this passport thing, or I don't really know the ins and outs of that, but that was nice that they included that onto the Shenmue 1 and 2 release. But basically, back in the Suka Pass thing, we've sort of done a neat little take on that. So as you go around sections of the application, like maybe you go into the character profile section or the places, Nozomi messages or something, and just hunt around a bit like an Easter egg hunt. And if you press the right thing, you might win a capsule toy, and then you can go trade them for these animal toys and sort of build up a bit of a collection. And you get a special prize for finding all 17 of the capsules, and then another nice little bonus for trading in for all of the 17 animals. So yeah, I think it's a really fun update. I think it's pretty cool. Something a bit different than like the hardcore lore and whatnot of the previous update. So yeah, hopefully you'll download it, give it a go. You can check it out over on sukapass.com. Speaking of Switch, did mention Switch. One of his more recent blog posts on phantomriverstone.com literally started a whole new series for me on the dojo. Is lore gathering post, Matt. That's insane. It's like a murder.
they're mad.
Honestly, it's like a murder case timeline style board thing with like a web of strings, like a Shenmue mind map image is done of all these story beats, just how it all intertwines, all the characters intertwine and stuff. He's like done this massive web mind map thing. So anyone that says Shenmue's just about revenge, needs to get that fucking printed out on a B2 size poster or something, because it's that good. I'll link to that in the show notes as well. But basically, based on this fantastic post, I sort of decided to produce a live stream series called Shenmue Lore Investigation. And by the time you hear the show, I'll probably have done 5, maybe even 6 episodes. But people seem to be enjoying them and engaging, which is good. And like basically, I'm using some of these threads of information that we've had from Shenmue, looking into like the Chinese history or the mythology surrounding those story points. Last time out, I covered the 4 heavenly beasts, Chiyo, some dude called Yandi, which is quite close to Landy, I suppose, and Huangdi. So yeah, pretty intense to be honest, but I think they're pretty good fun, right, Matt?
I enjoy them, and there's a good sort of hardy bunch every week. Even a couple of weeks ago when you were streaming, and Tears of the Kingdom came out, and it was still pretty busy, and people obviously binned off Zelda for it. So there you go. That's a good compliment, if anything, isn't it?
Whether or not that's just because we're Sega fans, and maybe, I don't know, like me, are not really keen on Zelda. I don't know.
Yeah,
but to be fair, having said that, there is a lot of Zelda fans out there, aren't there?
Yeah, there is. I think it sold 10 million copies in 3 days, which is mad.
That is a lot of Zelda fans.
And it's a great game, by the way. Yes, it's very good. So it's a great compliment that people skipped on Zelda to watch the stream, for sure.
That's just boosted me self-esteem a little bit.
It should.
Matt, other Shenmue Dojo related business, you've just brought back your interview series, right?
Yeah, it's been on a bit of let's say enforced hiatus. I think other things just took over from it, and I've always wanted to bring it back. I never sort of closed it off or anything. I just wanted to get something in line that would be a good way back into it. So what better way than to talk to a new Shenmue fan about Shenmue 3 and the pitfalls of the game, the good parts of the game, and actually where some of the more interesting discussion is around some of the community reaction to when this person, his name's Bailey Caldwell, if anybody wants to find him, he's around on the Shenmue 500k, follows the dojo and everything, and he was quite candid in saying some of the comments, if he wasn't a Shenmue fan, might have put him off engaging in Shenmue, which is not what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a video on that as well, sort of talking around
annoying
where I can see it comes from, but people need to move on from it a little bit now. But it's a really good interview. Bailey was awesome. Great to have him on. And it's a good way to restart that series up. So yeah, go and check it out.
Yeah, definitely. So a little bit of background on that, Casey, if you're wondering. Basically, he made a Facebook post that was saying, like, he's just finished Shenmue 1 and 2, I think.
Yeah.
Should I play Shenmue 3? Or, what's everyone's opinion of Shenmue 3? And everyone was telling him, oh, don't bother with it, it's crap, it's rubbish. But he eventually gave it a go and actually seemed very, like, it was his favourite in the series almost, right?
He really, really enjoyed it. He was very balanced in what he said and obviously recognised some of the pitfalls, which we well publicised. But generally speaking, he said it was a perfect follow-on. and he really enjoyed it. And I would urge anybody who's got any doubts not to listen to anybody and give it a go yourself. If you don't like it after a go yourself, fair enough. But I don't listen to everybody else. Just play the game. It's like with any game. If you're interested, play it. What's the worst that can happen?
That's it. Some of the worst games still get some enjoyment out of anyway, and Shenmue 3 is bloody far from the worst game. Someone said it was unplayable, didn't they?
Oh, God.
Which doesn't even make sense, mate. They obviously didn't play it. That's why it's unplayable.
I talked to Adam Scipione of the Shenmue documentary for the SEGA launch, and we were talking about that, how maybe for people who backed the Kickstarter, got the game early when it released, there was like maybe a certain urgency to play the game and to enjoy it. There, so many years had passed at the time, and we were so eager to have more Shenmue, and maybe that led to some disappointment.
Yeah, I can see it.
Maybe, but replaying the game with a cooler head will probably make you realize it's actually a good game.
That's my stance on it.
Or at least not as bad as people make it out to be.
I think it's definitely better the second time you play it, in my opinion.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And there's a lot of hidden little things in there that, I don't know, just make it a good Shenmue game. And people did rush it. There's the 18-year wait in it as well. And I think expectations and everything else comes into it. And we have to bear in mind it was a Kickstarter project, and there's all sorts of factors involved in that as well. But yeah, I won't dwell on it any longer.
No, it's a weird one, because if you're a Shenmue fan, you should really get some enjoyment out of it. So I don't quite get some of the negative comments from Shenmue fans. It doesn't really add up to me, but whatever, like you say, we won't dwell on it. Since we've got another Shenmue fan on today's show, I think this is the perfect time to segue into a few questions for you, Casey. So my first question for you is, what is your first song pick for our little break now?
Okay, so my first song pick is actually my favorite Shenmue song and my favorite SEGA song of all times.
Of all time? Wow.
Yeah, of all time. So it's from the Shenmue Orchestra version album, but it actually plays in Shenmue 2. And it's had many names, many translations. I think we've all agreed upon The Sound of Waves in the Morning Haze. I think that's the
Beautiful.
last one, right?
Yeah, Waves of Morning Haze. Yeah. Welcome back. That was Waves of Morning Haze. Such a great track. Just hearing it again then. Goosebumps.
Amazing. Tired of hearing the same old songs over and over on the radio? Now, from the twisted mind behind Suka Pass and Shenmue World comes a new compilation of Shenmue poetry.
Now, that's what I call Jim's Poetry Corner 2023.
A compilation of Skilled Jim's absolute best poems as previously heard on the Shenmue Dojo show, plus brand new vocal gems.
Now, that's what I call Jim's Poetry Corner 2023.
Get this album now and you can hear classics like Fresh Princess of Bailu.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I tell you how I became the child of a stonemasonaire.
The shivering rhymes of Killer.
'Cause it's a killer, here to fight, and no one's gonna save you from the dragon about to strike you. Wow's killer. On this night, he's fighting for his life against a killer tonight.
The bangin' club track For Voodoo Changed My Life.
The For Voodoo changed my life. My life. Oh yeah. The voodoo changed my life. 'Cause the For Voodoo changed my life. My life. Oh yeah. The voodoo changed my life.
The catchy piano classic Yuanda Zoo.
If I could find Yuanda Zoo, do you think I'd find Landy too? 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see Zoo tonight.
Timeless pop anthem Bailu.
It's Bailu, gotta get down a Bailu. Everybody's looking for the Phoenix mirror. Bailu, getting down a Bailu. Everybody's looking for the Phoenix mirror. Landy is, yeah. Landy is, yeah. Come, coming for the Phoenix mirrors.
And even social commentary all up on ya with GUILIN Paradise.
Been spending most my life living in a GUILIN paradise. I lift flowers with my mind, living in a GUILIN paradise. We eat garlic all the time, living in a GUILIN paradise.
You can order this brand new 11-track long album now for just 5 jars of Innocence Tears by setting up the following Chowan sign at your local tea shop and waiting. First cup up, second cup still, third cup down, fourth cup still.
Now, that's what I call Jim's Poetry Corner 2023.
That's 11 beautifully written compositions with some words added to them for mere 5 jars of Innocence Tears.
Now, that's what I call Jim's Poetry Corner 2023.
Mixon Productions does not condone cheesy poetry in any way, shape, or form. If you or somebody you know becomes addicted to these poor taste parodies, please see your doctor or local Chi-Yu-Men representative. Now seriously, this is a real album you can get from skilljim.bandcamp.com.
Years ago, I was Chinese.
So for today's show, I thought we would have more of a laid-back type of episode, just relax, chatting some Shenmue. Is that okay with you guys?
Let's do it.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to start off with a few questions for you, Casey. Let's go back to the beginning, if you can remember that far. How did you become a Sega fan?
So I know I'm a middle-aged man, but I can't remember
A young adult.
that far back. Exactly. So how did I get into Shenmue, right? So I didn't get it at launch. I do remember the first time I saw any kind of reference to Shenmue, which was in an issue of DC UK magazine,
Okay.
which actually I found in like a newspaper stand in Portugal, in Lisbon. I was doing an internship at some point, and I saw a little kiosk, a little newspaper stand with some magazines. One of them was had like, I think it was Rio in the cover, right? I think the one that they had with the
UK, yeah.
preview. I think that's the one.
Mhm.
And I remember vividly seeing those 4 huge letters FREE, free, full reactive eyes entertainment, and thinking,
Mhm.
wow, this must be something amazing, like a new genre of video games.
Yeah.
But at the time, looking at the screenshots, the preview that they had for the game, I didn't think it was for me.
Okay.
Didn't appeal to me as much because I was more like a Sega blue skies in gaming type of guy.
Mhm.
And so it didn't feel as colorful, maybe,
hmm
right? It was going for more of a realistic approach uh,
I
graphically.
suppose the first game is like a lot grayer, isn't it? Actually,
Yep,
a lot of
indeed.
grey tones,
Yeah,
which I like actually.
yeah. It's more even the weather, right? So it
Yeah.
starts in a day with bad weather, so it's usually you don't get to see the blue skies as much. But fast forward maybe a couple of years, and there was a store where I used to buy all my video games, and they had like a big display with a Dreamcast and the box with the both CD cases of Shenmue 1. And for a few weeks, every time I went to that store, I looked at that box and thought, maybe this would be interesting, but let's not spend money on something that you probably won't enjoy. So I kept just passing through and not buying the game until one day I decided to take the plunge and get Shenmue 1, and the rest is history. I played the game, loved it, my favorite video game series ever, and never looked back.
You made the right decision.
Yeah,
Definitely the
finally,
right
We all
finally.
did. Yeah, we all did. Changed our lives, man.
Yeah.
How did you actually become a Sega fan? Were you into Master System, Mega Drive? Like, where did you actually start?
Yeah, so my first console was the Mega Drive.
Okay.
So I skipped the Master System. My first game was actually Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 1 on the Mega Drive. Back in like maybe got it for Christmas in 1991, I think. So,
Yeah.
and I instantly became a Sonic and Sega fan ever since. Sega was really big in Portugal in the early 90s. Actually, all through the 90s, even the early 2000s. We had like Sega Portugal, which was a Portuguese company that had the distributing rights for Sega games in Portugal. And so they created like a Club Sega. You had a hotline as well for tips and whatnot. You had like a membership card for that Club Sega, which is something that I still own. It's still somewhere around in my parents' house.
When I think of like what you're saying there, Club Sega, I'm just visualizing the Club Sega in Yakuza.
Yeah. So it's more like a Sega Club to be. It was called Club Sega in Portuguese, but probably if you'd like to translate it properly, probably Sega Club, right?
What was the thing that was going on there? Was it like a newsletter or?
Yeah, newsletter. You'd get like a letter from Sonic every once in a while.
A letter from
letter
Sonic.
from Sonic
Okay.
announcing new games and stuff.
Signed.
If you could write to Sonic as well and get a reply from Sonic himself, which was amazing.
That's cool. I always think, who's the bloke at the other end or whatever who's getting all these letters and sending replies back to them pretending to be Sonic? It's like Santa, isn't it, when you send a letter to Santa and some bloke somewhere sat in an office or something just replying to everyone.
Yeah, the only thing is Sonic is real, right? Yeah.
Well, that's true as well.
Unlike Santa, right?
Yeah.
Right? No? Awkward silence? No?
You just burst every kid's dream in the
Oh. No, Santa's real as well. Sorry.
Santa's real, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why there was no way you wouldn't become a Sega fan in Portugal. I mean, there were probably some Nintendo kids, but Nintendo was almost non-existent around here in terms of marketing as well.
Interesting.
So most of my friends, even though not many of my school friends had consoles and played video games, but the ones that had consoles had probably a Master
Mhm.
System or a Mega Drive. So they were Sega fans as well. And Sega was so big in Portugal, in fact, that till halfway through the Saturn life, the Saturn was even bigger than the PlayStation 1 here in
Wow.
Portugal.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So until Sega, gave up on the Saturn, it was bigger here than the PlayStation.
That's mad. I just think it's crazy how it's so different depending on your region. Like I know,
Mhm.
was it Master System wasn't really a big thing in America, but over here, Master System was like very popular across
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
And I think is it
Mhm.
Brazil or something is still getting Master System games or Mega Drive
Still getting
games.
games, aren't they?
Exactly.
So it's
And
crazy.
like new variations of the consoles and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Just mad how that works. But you must have had decent marketing in Portugal to topple PlayStation
sure.
and Nintendo and all that.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe even I wouldn't give too much credit to Sega, although they did a great job, but I would blame that on Nintendo as well,
Not bad marketing.
because I don't think they invested so much, and it's a really really small market, right? So we're a really small country with, at that time, people didn't have like too much, um, you know, there was no money like the middle class didn't have money to buy all these games and consoles, mostly. So was it worth it for Sega to invest in Portugal? Maybe, but Nintendo didn't see the profit in it, and I think they were probably right. But blame it on Nintendo for not investing in Portugal. That's why Sega is so big here still.
Very interesting.
God, it's funny, isn't it, when you think, like, I remember being a kid, and Sega and Nintendo were pretty much neck for neck in the UK, I would have said. Certainly in, like, if you went into the old Toys R Us, you'd have just as big a Sega stand as you would Nintendo back in the day. So it's interesting to see that different dynamic around
Yeah.
Nintendo being basically non-existent in Portugal, because I was quite lucky to be exposed to almost both sides of it, although I was a complete Sega nut, and Sonic the Hedgehog was the reason for that. I remember seeing Sonic and Mario side by side and going, sod Mario, it was boring. I'll go play Sonic.
Same here.
Yeah. And I remember my exposure to Nintendo was through like Famiclone systems.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Those like Chinese maybe made consoles that were like NES clones that could play NES games, and that had those like cartridges with 40 games or whatnot. And I had my best friend at school had one of those systems, and that's how I got exposed to Nintendo stuff.
That's cool, I suppose.
But didn't know anyone with an NES.
I used to have these weird handheld things that were like 50 and 1 games or something, and like 40 of them were like Breakout clones, like just different variations of Breakout.
Don't shout too loud. Nintendo will shut you down.
Oh, and Brickmania, those little.
Oh, yeah,
Did you have those there as well, like Tetris clones?
Yeah, we had those over here.
Classic.
They were terrible. They'd last like 10 minutes and the batteries would die. Oh, dear. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Good times.
They were. But speaking of good times, obviously back into Shenmue a little bit, I'm going to put you on the spot. Which is your favorite game in the series and why?
I mean, it's hard to choose one, especially between the first two. But I will probably always say Shenmue 1 is still my favorite. Why? I don't think Shenmue 2 is objectively a better game. I think it's bigger. It's the map is larger. You can do much more stuff as well. But that feeling of living in a small town, knowing everyone, knowing everyone's routines, where to go, who to speak to, all of that. I don't think any other game actually came close to doing it as Shenmue did at the time. And like that routine that you had every day when you started working in the harbor as well. Like, you had like your job, you came home in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
evening, all of that feeling um, is unparalleled for me. No other game even came close to this day. And I do enjoy many, many games, but Shenmue 1, I it's still my favorite of all time. But I can objectively understand people saying Shenmue 2 is a better game. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just as a random segue point that's come into my head. You look at the world in Shenmue 1, how detailed it is. It is a small world when you think by modern gaming standards. You look at open world now, and
Mhm.
some of these worlds are humongous, but they're, I would argue, very empty. Do you think gaming should look back a little bit at what Shenmue was trying to do with that very small but detailed, lived-in world, and actually these AAA titles focus in on expanding inwards rather than outwards now? Because the worlds are huge in these games, but there's not a lot in them. It's filled with bloat stuff, basically, isn't it?
They're not very memorable, are they?
Yeah.
Like Shenmue's world is memorable, whereas you can't really say that about these huge
Mhm,
open world
mhm.
games these days, in my opinion.
Maybe this is a hot take, but I do feel that there are two titles, two games that with an open world, a massive open world game, came close to what Shenmue did with Shenmue 1. And those are Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
Let me explain myself. So you actually feel that you are living in a living, breathing world, and people are doing stuff, um, despite you not being there, or you don't really need to interact with people. They are walking, have their lives, they have their routine. Not really routines, but they have things to do, and you see them. It's not the same thing, obviously, and it's a
Mhm.
really massive world, especially Tears of the Kingdom. It's so massive, but it feels at times that they actually came a little bit closer than most to replicating that feeling of this town, this world lives whether I'm here or not. So people are living their lives, doing their stuff, uh, even if I'm not here, right? And so that's my hot take for this episode.
No, it's a good comparison. Like you say, I always think it's weird in gaming, and this is the same for Shenmue, thinking like when you're not facing a character, so say you're looking down towards U Arcade,
Yeah.
and you just know, you're sensing that people are walking behind you, even though the camera isn't, it's stuff's being processed that isn't even visible. That kind of doesn't make sense to me. That's kind of like another planet with aliens living on it sort of mentality of thinking, because I'm thinking like, how on earth can a game be making a character walk behind you when you can't even see them? But that, you get that sense and that feeling from Shenmue. You're going to turn around, someone's going to come out of the smart convenience store, or a bike's going to go up a road, Wang San is going to do his delivery, or he's stood outside bloody vending machine waiting for you to buy him a drink or something. All these things are going on, and that's the kind of living, breathing world I think that you were trying to say. I mean, I haven't particularly gave Breath of the Wild or Tears of, well, whatever that is called, Tears of the
Tears
Kingdom.
of the Kingdom. Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom. I haven't really given them much of a go. I did have Breath of the Wild and played probably about 10 hours of it, and I just think I'm in a bit of a different place with gaming, and especially at the moment. Like maybe it's eased off a bit now. I finished university, but I don't really have the time or the commitment to think like, oh, I know this is a 100-hour game or a 50-hour game. I want to play it, but I don't want to play it because I know I'm never going to see the end of it, or I'm going to have to dedicate the next 6 months with the 1 hour I have at night or the 2 hours I might get next week kind of thing in order to even achieve completing it. So that puts me off straight away. It's the same with like the Assassin's Creed games at the moment. I want to play them through because I really enjoyed the first games in the series, and then I got to Odyssey, and I've probably put like 20 hours in, and I'm like, God, I'm still on like the second little island, and you open the map, and it's like it's just insanely big. So I'm like, I can't play this anymore. I'm never going to see the end of it or I'm never going to play another game ever again if I keep playing. Whereas, like, if you think of that scale on Shenmue level, like what Matt was saying, you've got this very tight-knit open world. It's still an open world game, and obviously it was like the first of its kind back then, but it never feels too daunting. You don't, and that's, I suppose that's another good thing of features of Shenmue. Like, it doesn't hold your hand, so you don't press a button to open a map and have a look around. There's like an actual physical map on a street that you look at to find out where you are or where you need to go. And obviously in Shenmue 2, it was a bit bigger than that. You had to buy maps for each section, which, it just added to that sort of realism that Rio's actually in this environment. He hasn't got a clue where he's going. So you as the player and the character, you need to buy a map to find out where you are, where you're located and stuff. And it just makes the games more memorable in that sense for me, because there's a charm to that. It's not just like a marker on a map that you run straight to, and then there's a marker over here, now you run over there, and you just sort of like blindly playing. In Shenmue, you sort of have to, not like it uses all your brain cells to think, but it's like you kind of have to, and not even force yourself, but you know what I mean. You sort of have to immerse yourself in the world, and it comes very naturally to Shenmue anyway. When you're actually playing the series, you do straight away, you feel immersed in this living, breathing world because of everything I've just said.
Yeah, and that's why I think maybe we were talking about people not enjoying Shenmue 3 or saying it's a bad game. Were they expecting something like a huge open world game?
Possibly, yeah.
A Shenmue
Right.
in an open world. Is that even possible? Would that even be Shenmue if they did that?
It's a tricky question, isn't it?
Because I don't think so.
I'd argue not, because you lose, I think, some of the essence of what Shenmue is. If you just make it massive but don't detail it, it becomes just another open world game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think and it's part of the charm of Shenmue. You get those, even in Shenmue 2, right? You had a larger map, but you had those quarters, which were like
Yeah.
self-contained micro towns in themselves with different energy, right?
Yeah.
And it's always moving into, like, in a big open world game, half the map is kind of identical in a sense, whereas like Shenmue, each little area is completely unique, or it has this sort of unique feeling. If you think of Shenmue 2, Aberdeen, your Wanchai, your Kowloon, your Guilin, it's like 4 very stark different sort of locations, so it never feels too repetitive. Even though the gameplay arguably is quite repetitive, going around talking to people, getting a clue to find your next thing. But because each area is completely different, you go into a set of apartments, you go into a park, you go to a big temple, a shrine, it's constantly, it's just very unique game. I don't even think there's a game since that has that kind of an environment that's encompassed within its own game. I mean, obviously you get games like Sekiro or something where one area is cherry blossom area, the next area is like more rundown, shattered temples and broken up bridges, and then there's one that's like a green sort of thing, and then there's one that's like fields of wheat or whatever it is. So I don't know what my point was there, but I feel like I'm doing a lot of waffling.
Yeah, but I think I get what you're saying. I agree.
Yeah.
It's and that's why I asked that question. I don't think it would still be Shenmue if we had like a massive open world game, because it's all about, you can't really get that sense of community as well that you get, for example, in Bailu Village.
Yeah.
Right. You get to know everyone if you want to.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You don't need to. You can just A little bit like again, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom.
Mhm.
You can go just straight through the game, not play any of the side quests, and just go to the last boss and complete the game if you want to, if you're
It's
crazy
cool.
enough.
That is actually a cool thing you can do.
Yeah, at least you can try. I
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to with just like 3 hearts complete beat the final boss. I'd just get killed instantly. But people have done that, and so in Shenmue, you also can choose how much immersion, right? You get if you
Yeah.
want to get immersed in that world and get to know everyone and complete the story at your own pace. That's fine. You don't have like the period of time you have to complete the game is quite generous, I think,
Yeah,
in all of
definitely.
them. So
Oh, definitely, yeah.
yeah.
So talking about Shenmue, you've told me that you've recently been replaying it. I don't know if you finished it, right? Yeah. This your
Yes.
second playthrough?
It is my second playthrough, and I haven't. No, I
Okay.
blame Tears of the Kingdom as well for that. Partly
For-
for that.
and all the other games and stuff that I suppose you have to sort of play.
And
for
and doing the
shows.
podcast and
That's what I
stuff. So
mean.
yeah.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts and feelings on Shenmue 3? Okay, maybe like the first time you played it, what were your thoughts and feelings then? And of however far you are through your second playthrough, has anything changed? Any opinions changed this time around? I know we did mention that it feels like it might be a better experience on the second playthrough, but what were your initial thoughts and feelings on Shenmue 3?
So I never felt that it was a bad game at any point. Right?
Unplayable.
Unplayable. No, never thought that. But I do get people saying it's not what they expected. Maybe I was expecting more as well. I'm not really sure what. I think it's probably many years passed since Shenmue 2, and games changed a lot. We're more we're more used to other systems and other like quality of life things as well. Um, and this I feel, and I've always felt this. Shenmue 3 is a good Shenmue game. It is what I would expect Shenmue 3 to be if it had released on the Dreamcast. Obviously, better looking, but mostly what I would expect from that. At the time that I played it, maybe I wasn't in the right state of mind as well, personally. I think there was some anticipation, some expectations as well. That's why I don't think I was able to enjoy the game for what it was. And this time around, I took my time. I took I spent a lot of time in Bailu Village, a lot of time, and really enjoyed it. Uh, Almost to the level of like enjoying Yokosuka in Shenmue One.
That's
Um,
good.
I think uh, they nailed it when it comes to the to Bailu Village, having like that community sense that I was talking about, and getting to know everyone, knowing where everyone is at a certain point in the day, and knowing you can spar with this guy or that other girl or whatever. You can go fishing. You have the arcades, the toy capsule machines, so you can um, chop wood if you want to,
Yeah.
and hear some afterburner tunes.
It's good
So
as well. The characters get to know Rio as well, don't they?
yeah, their reactions change as
Yeah.
well as time goes by. So that's nice. That's nice.
Mm.
And so to answer your question, I do feel that this second playthrough helped me appreciate the game much more. It is, I wouldn't say it's like a graphical masterpiece, but it's a really good looking game. I think
Mhm.
there was some flack that people gave it. Maybe because of the I don't know, maybe Rio and Shenhua they didn't like the faces or whatever the models. I don't know, but I do really think it's quite a good looking game. That transition between Bailu and Nyao
Yep.
reminded me of the the transitions between um, you know Aberdeen and Kowloon and Guilin. So pretty good.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like that.
And so I do urge people, if you played the game when it first came out, and some time has passed now, do please sit down again with Shenmue 3, give it another chance, and you'll probably enjoy it much more than you did the first time around. At least I did. Or I am still enjoying it.
Same here. I definitely enjoyed it more the second time. I think the first time I was playing it with my wife, thinking that she's going to enjoy this because it's going to get like all this story stuff's going to happen, and in fact she's just sort of sat there watching me do horse dance for like 3 hours. I think maybe the first time was sort of like disappointing in that sense that I couldn't show how epic this game was to my wife that I've been waiting 18 years for, and she was sort of bored with the gameplay.
Yeah.
But playing it the second time on my own, taking my time, and just sort of trying to see as much as I can, like speak to as many characters as possible, like I would have done on the first two titles the first time I played them. You do get that Shenmue feeling. It is there. The Shenmue conversations at night, some amazing dialogue from them that, Matt, you're a big fan of, right?
Yeah, the Shenhua conversations are, for me, some of the best in the whole series. They really, really are. And some of the detail they go into, they talk about Ryo's life in Japan, they talk about Shenhua's life in Bailu Village, and that richness of dialogue and character there is fantastic. And the only thing I wish Shenmue 3 had was more of it. And there's many reasons why there's not, but it's got some absolutely brilliant aspects to it, and those conversations are probably the best, apart from probably the environments. As Casey says, the environments in Shenmue 3 are absolutely stunning for the art style. It looks like a Dreamcast on steroids for me.
I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I also enjoyed the Shenmue dialogues as well. Very much. Some really nice Sega Launch Challenge questions came out from them.
Okay.
God. Oh, that's scary.
I will say though, and speaking about the boring side of the game, I will give people bashing the game this. It takes a long time to pick up when you first start the game. And the fact that apart from the harbor area that you just can't go to until a certain point in Shenmue 1, but apart from that, you're used to having can go almost anywhere, almost instantly. It doesn't take too long to go to other areas of the map in Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2. And the fact that most of the village is sealed off at first is a little bit disappointing,
restrictive,
and it takes a long time, longer than I think it should, to open up and be the Shenmue that you're used to, and that gets a little bit boring as well.
especially in the Niawu as well, with the little shortcuts that they sort of blocked off until story segments. I mean, I do get it from maybe a voice acting sort of take, say, like if you've only just arrived at the harbour and you run all the way to the end of Niawu to speak to someone to see if he's got unique dialogue. I can kind of get why they may have restricted it to sort of keep the story and the amount of dialogue that they needed to produce
I see your
in
point.
these limited sections. That's the only thing I can think of as the reason why. But going to, like, say, the Muren Cafe or whatever, and then you've constantly got that barrier, and then it's telling you to go all the way around to whatever is the other side. You know what I mean? Like maybe Shilling or something. Go speak to Shilling, and you're in the Murin Cafe. You could literally see a shrine from the cafe, but you've got to walk all the way through the promenade, back down to the harbour, cut through where the fishermen's are to get to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like those barriers sort of didn't need to be that restricted, I don't think. But
yeah, that's fair. Cool. So I'm going to move us away from the games a little bit. Shenmue the animation. Now that's the question in itself. What did you think of Shenmue the animation? Were you surprised when they announced it?
Yes, I was, very much so. I wasn't expecting it at all, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm really good at we might not get a second season right? So I really enjoyed it. My only complaint about Shenmue, the animation, while I do understand it, is that we just got everything like 2 games crammed up in one season
Yeah.
of the show,
Yeah,
right?
really
It
quick.
would have been nice to have at least one per season, 1 game per season, perhaps. Would have been nicer that way. But I do understand they didn't know they would get a second season. They it could be a case of like wanting to leave more room for Shenmue 3 to promote the game as well, and maybe get seasons 2 and 3 and so on focused on Shenmue 3. Although story wise, doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would make more sense to focus more seasons in the first 2 games, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would have obviously preferred them to flesh out more stuff in more episodes, if you know what I mean. So, like, Shenmue 1 could have covered 13 episodes. It would have been nice to get more
Yeah, more backstory
stuff on the characters and really flesh them out, so it's not just flying by and then, like, come episode 5, you're forgetting everyone that you've met already after 5 episodes, and then you're having to learn a new set of characters. It just seems to fly by really quickly, but I suppose that's also a good thing because you're enjoying the show. But yeah, I do agree that I think it may be a blessing that it did get to the end of Shenmue 2, because maybe people use the anime as a way to get into the series, and then you can literally go straight into Shenmue 3
Yeah,
from the final episode. So I suppose that's a good thing. Like if it ended at the end of Shenmue 1, I don't know if that would have captivated an audience enough to then think, oh, I'll go out my way and pick up Shenmue 2 and a Dreamcast, you know what I mean? It's all Shenmue 1 and 2 collection. But I think the jump to Shenmue 3 is a better fit,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah.
considering the anime's finished.
Yeah, I do, and like Casey sort of came on to as well, there was no guarantees of a second season, and now knowing what we know now, that they were starting pre-production for it, and the Warner Brothers Discovery merger happened, and it nixed everything. Unfortunately, not to say I don't think it can't come back. I do think it can come back when the time's right and when they're having those conversations again. I do think they'll be pushing Shenmue the animation, given how well it did. But I think they made the right decision to do the 2 games for those reasons. And I guess, and it's like Jason DeMarcus said to me when I interviewed him, he would have liked one extra episode just to flesh out the Bailu, the GUILIN story. Yeah, because that was like, you got that in 7-8 minutes.
Yeah.
Arrive in GUILIN, meet Shenfar, save the deer, go to the house, cave, end, bye. And it was really, really quick. And I know James at the time when we were doing the live reaction to it, James, you were pissed about it. And I can see why.
That was probably the most disappointing thing of the whole show, because up until that point, anything that had been rushed, I could make do with. It was all right. It wasn't like what they did do, the liberties that they did take, I thought was fine. But that last episode, man, when GUILIN's probably my favourite part of the whole series, and they like literally rinse through it, and then they've even got the credits rolling on like the last scene in the game. It's like they're not even giving it the time to show what's actually happening. I think it may have left a few people confused who weren't familiar with the game at that point. That's probably my only disappointment.
At the same time, it's a good excuse to pick up both games. You can have the 1 and 2 collection and then 3. Yeah. If you want to know more.
I think I would have loved that, you know. If the anime was the first thing and then you get to play these episodes, I think that's quite a cool thing. You know, the other way around, it works, but it's like we know what's going to happen. Whereas in the games, I think there's a lot more stuff that isn't told in the anime. And I suppose vice versa as well. There's a few little things that are told in the anime that we don't get in the game. So combined, it's like a really great way of soaking in Shenmue, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Casey, I think that's probably a good point to ask you. What are your hopes and dreams for the future of the series? Obviously, we might not get a Shenmue the Anime Season 2, but what are you actually hoping for in terms of the rest of the series moving forth?
I mean, obviously Shenmue 4.
That's the dream. That is the dream.
I think, I mean, if Shenmue 3 happened, I don't see a reason, apart from money, obviously, but I don't see a reason why we can't have Shenmue 4. So that's the main thing here. I don't know how many games we need to get to have the story finished, but at least we need to go look at this one game at a time. I think, right?
Yeah.
Adjust our expectations. So at this point, Shenmue 4, yes, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Yu Suzuki,
If you're listening.
we're counting on you. In terms of what I expect from Shenmue 4, um, one of the things I didn't mention when it comes to Shenmue 3 that I really massively enjoy was the combat system.
Mm.
Didn't feel like, and I do understand there may have been some reasons regarding like the engine, the fighting engine they used and stuff. Um, but I'm hoping that if we do get Shenmue 4, the added experience with the engine will probably make it easier to adjust it to feel more natural and feel better, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a major gripe. You don't spend like 90% of the time fighting, so it's not that big of a deal. Um, just like James said, it's not a game about revenge. It's not, far from it.
Exactly.
Not always constantly fighting, but you do have to, if you want to like level up your moves and stuff, learn more moves. You do need to fight from time to time, and that can be a fun part of the game. I don't think it was particularly fun for me, at least at first. I got used to it, but yeah, I would get a better fighting system in place in Shenmue 4 and more story.
Yeah.
Come on, Yu Suzuki,
100%.
more story. Yes,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it.
Well, the fighting system hopefully can get refined if they put throw moves back in
Yeah,
the mix again. I think maybe it will feel like a different system, despite it like being the same sort of thing. It wasn't a bad system overall. Like I say,
No,
it took some getting used to, but then I don't know. It's one of those. It's like I find myself using the set moves that you can set to your RBs and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
going through cycling
Yeah.
through those 5 same moves rather than, because a lot of the combinations were like not really Shenmue-esque. Like in the first one, it's like punch, punch, kick, and you see the move from that combination that you would expect to see. But in this, it was like square, 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 X or something, and it's like completely random. But then he just does like one leg kick from it. It's like the combinations were hard to learn, so
Mhm.
that was made me sort of just fall into that mindset of just using a 5, and then when I'm training a new set of 5 moves, I'd switch to them and play around with them a bit, it's okay. But I would like to have a system where it's more like the original Virtua Fighter, where you're rewarded for learning the combinations and you can pull off some sweet looking moves and stuff without having these sort of easy to press buttons.
Yeah.
But other than
For
that,
sure,
like you say, that's the dream. Hopefully we can see the future of the series with the Shenmue 4 soon. And like you say, it's not out of the realms of possibility. If we got Shenmue 3, I think strike while the iron's hot. I know it's cooling down a bit. It's been 3 or 4 years, but we just had this sort of resurgence, and it would be a shame for it to just die out again. While we've got a Shenmue 3 that's in recent sort of years, we've had an anime that was only a year ago. I think there's no reason for any concerns really for Shenmue 4. You just got to keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully
yeah.
it'll happen one day soon.
And I would add something to that, because I've been replaying Shenmue 3 this time on the Steam Deck.
Okay.
So, which is something I've seen other people do online as well, and I've seen people like post screenshots of them like playing or photos of them playing on the Steam Deck, and that opens the game up to a different audience as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and you can actually play all 3 games on the Steam Deck legally, right?
Yeah.
Not just, but also legally. You can get Shenmue 1 and 2 on Steam, Shenmue 3, play it on the Steam Deck, on the go, which is how I'm doing it. I pick up the Steam Deck, go sit in bed and play for a little bit before bed. So that's a really amazing way to play it. So I think as time goes on, I think more people will get exposed to Shenmue 3 in all these different ways as well, in Shenmue 1 and 2 as well. So maybe that'll help to, increase the chances of us getting Shenmue 4.
Good point, man. I'd quite like to get a Steam Deck, actually.
I will do. We'll do one day.
My designated handheld Shenmue device.
I will. Can I just ask you guys a question? Quick question. What did you think of the QTE system of Shenmue 3 in Shenmue
It
3?
was very tight. The window was. I know I'm getting old.
Yeah.
But they were punishing some of those.
The first time you play, you're
Right?
just not expecting them, are you? So
Right?
insane.
Yeah. So I didn't remember that from the first playthrough. A few years have passed, so I didn't remember that. And when I picked this up again, I thought, wow, am I that rusty?
Yeah, it's not you. No. But
Okay.
I don't know. I do feel like, and this could just be like multiple playthroughs now, but they are easier to do. I don't know if they did a patch or something. I feel like the window's not as tight as I remember, because I literally failed every single QT on the first playthrough.
Yeah, I think it's probably muscle memory now kicking in that you remember what they are.
Yeah.
The windows were tight. They were really tight. I know some of the failed cutscenes are quite funny.
Yeah.
But they were punishing.
The chickens one, I did remember being harder.
Okay.
I did remember them being harder, at least. I don't know if I catching chickens right at the temple with.
I think they
Master
did adjust
Soda.
the timing, maybe a little bit. Was that a bad memory, Matt? Didn't they do a patch and it was like slightly easier?
It may have been. They may have changed the window slightly, but I could be completely misremembering.
Sure. I might be making that up. Yeah.
Yes. Think of the middle-aged man.
These young adults.
Young adults, yes.
Okay, I've got one final question for you, Casey. And it's a big one.
Oh my god.
If you could put blast processing into your second music pick, what would it be?
I would definitely blast process the GUILIN intro from Shenmue 2.
Tunes.
Copyright incoming.
Every time.
Every time. There's this one song on YouTube, for some reason, they always claim, whenever the introduction of that song plays, they claim it. And then if you actually listen to the song that they're trying to claim, it's like the first 5 seconds of their song is a rip-off of the start of the GUILIN intro to Shenmue 2. So I'm sure GUILIN came first. I'm sure Shenmue came first, and it's not the other way around. And if you do ever face that, if you put say that you've taken this from a game, it's not nothing to do with the person, or I think it's like Believe Music or something as the people that keep claiming it. If you put the claim through as that, then they back down sort of thing. So I suppose that tells you everything. They've stolen it. It's literally a rip-off of the first 5 seconds for some reason. But yeah, we'll play that now. Welcome back. That was the introduction to GUILIN from Shenmue 2. So next, I thought it might be fun to go through each of the 3 games in the series and share some thoughts, feelings, memories, or perhaps a particular favourite thing from each location featured so far. So it's going to be sort of like a Shenmue show and tell.
Ooh.
Yay.
Sounds quite fun, hopefully. I'm not going to cover absolutely every location from the series because, there's a ton in Shenmue 2 alone. I don't think there's anyone that's got a particular favourite thing about the 7th floor of the tea break building, for example.
Why not? Why not?
But let's just shoot the shit and see where it takes us. So I was thinking this might be fun if you just think of the first thing that pops into your head for this location. So I'll start us off, get the ball rolling with the first location. We're going to do this in order. So Hazuki Residence from Shenmue 1, of course. And obviously this is going to cover the house, the grounds, the dojo, the basement. And for my pick, I'm going to skip over the obvious thing, like the intro to the game, a wow's death. Spoilers. But feel free to mention this if this is, one of your thoughts. But mine's going to be inside the basement when you actually get access to Iwao's basement and you've got all of these objects, these artifacts, trinkets that were at one point in time in Iwao's possession, which is crazy. Stuff he's brought back from China. There's like a woman's comb that Ryo notices. I think he says it's like a lady's comb or something.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's Ryo's mother's comb. I don't know. There's like a book on constellations, which is where the white leaf falls out of, which is interesting. I've thought about it before, but maybe I don't know if there's a connection to stars and the leaf, or that just happened to be in there. But I find the white leaf interesting because it's still in Ryo's possession at the end of Shenmue 3. It's still in his inventory, so there's seemingly a use for it, but we just don't know what it is yet. I always thought maybe it was like a leaf from the Shenmue tree, but if you actually look at it and look at the Shenmue tree, it's like blossoms, and this is like sort of a faded, well, it is a white leaf. But yeah, I don't know what the significance of that is, but it's very interesting. But yeah, that's probably the first thing that comes into my head for the Hazuki Residence.
What comes into mind? Drawers.
Which drawer in particular?
All of them.
All of them. It's that first one when you get control of Ryo straight away, and the first thing I remember doing is looking through his desk.
Yes.
And that just started all of that. I spent probably a good 2 hours in the Hazuki Dojo just searching everything.
Don't you think it's interesting, that first desk that you do open? I've been watching streamers since, and they just go straight to the door and leave, and I'm like, what? Why don't you experiment with the controls? Like, I was watching a stream, and they didn't realise that you could lock in. You could press the left trigger to zoom in and look at objects. They were like standing in front of stuff, like pressing A, like, why is nothing happening? And it's like, I feel like the gamer these days have lost that sort of experiment with your environment and what's going on there. Because I remember the first time I played Shenmue, like Matt's just said, the first thing you do is look around Ryo's room. You wouldn't think to go to his door straight away. You're looking at in all of his cupboards, messing about with the inventory, the cassette tape thing that you just found, listening to Shenmue's theme that was in the drawer, picking up the photograph, inspecting the photograph. Probably spend 5 or 10 minutes before you even left the room there. So
I spent so much time in the residence before I actually even left.
Yeah, same.
Because it was like a novel concept, right? You had all this detail available to you. Mm-hmm. And now I think we've become jaded. And so that's why, things on his desk. Let's keep going. I think that's
it's just there for show.
And that's why some people may be returning to the always fun topic of Shenmue 3 being unplayable. That's probably one of the reasons why people were a little bit disappointed, because they lost some of that, like, I don't know what to call it, but like feeling of like being like a child looking at something new, right? And being able to do all of these things that you weren't expecting to. And now it's more, people are more used to like generic things and just moving on to the next big thing, shiny thing outside or something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, you can look into a lot of drawers in Shenmue 3. There's just nothing in them.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah. Yeah.
What was yours, Casey?
So I
First
would
thing you
say
thought of?
the first thing would probably be the basement as well. But just so I don't repeat that, I would go with Iwao's study. Right? You had like the
Ooh,
room where you get the letter
The
from
letter, yeah.
Iwao. I think it was a long time ago, but I think the first time I played it, I got lost, I think, in the
In his
house.
house, yeah.
In the house, which is odd, but I think I did, and I don't think I found the letter a few days into playing the game, I think. So
I think when you do that, it's less of a cutscene. I think it's only the first time you do that on the first day that it's like a full-on cutscene. I might be wrong on that, but I feel like if you leave it a few days and look at the letter, he just reads the letter.
You're right. It doesn't trigger it. I think you get past a certain story point, and then it just triggers the reading of it without the cutscene.
maybe.
Just an interesting did you know. Yeah, good picks, guys. So moving on, Yamanose. Not too much going on here. Obviously, you got the shrine and the kitten and stuff. But the first thing that came to my head when I was making the notes of all these locations was, I don't know if it's day 2 or it could be day 3, where you're walking down from the Hazuki residence and you get the cutscene with the 2 kids playing football, and the little girl, she's sort of drawing in the thing with chalk or whatever, drawing a little picture on the ground. And it may even be, depending on how you play, the first time you get a QTE in Shenmue. I know you can get the one with Inoki if you actually trigger that cutscene on day 1 or whatever, but it may be the first forced QTE. I'm not 100% on that, just thinking out loud. But it comes up, obviously, they accidentally kick the football towards Rio, and if you fail, it bounces off Rio and twats this girl in the face, which I always thought was quite funny. And she's like crying her eyes out and just runs off. And you genuinely feel really bad that that's just happened as a fail. That's mine anyway.
Oh, I think mine is probably the obvious one, which is the kitten. And the time you spend with the kitten and feeding it and petting it and building up that affinity. And then you get those little cutscenes as additions, don't you, where it's like jumping off the roof, it goes hiding. That's a very Shenmue thing.
I love that. I love the one that Blue Moo found, or pointed out anyway, where if you get the affinity so high, which is like feeding it, stroking it, petting it throughout your whole playthrough, towards the end, when the kitten's like out of the box, and then, like you say, you find him, he's run off or something, and Nozomi finds him. But there's an extra one. I think it's on the last day, is it, when you're saying goodbye to people? He's sitting on top of the little Torii gate in the shrine. And I don't know how you trigger it, but Blue Moo did that video where he's sitting next to another cat. And if you look up the profile of that cat in, say, Sukapass or the profiles or whatever, it sounds like it's his actual dad, which is just such a lovely detail.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because obviously his mother gets run over by Landy's car at the start, so not only does he kill Iwao, he kills Megumi's Mimi mother, the mother of the cat. But I believe there's this like white cat, I think, called Tora, or is it? No, it might be Tora. I don't know. Anyway, Shiro. It is Shiro because it is literally the word for white in Japanese, Shiro. And he's like perched on top of the Torii gate with the kitten, which is like a quite sweet thing.
Nice. Yeah. As for my pick,
I was going to say, I'm not sure if we've left you too much there.
No, I would say I would go with something odd.
Okay.
You know, when you, before you get to the children playing football, you can go down a flight of stairs, right? To some houses.
Oh yeah.
So I think that was the first thing that I did when I got to that area of the game, and I was amazed that you can actually see clothes hanging. Yeah. Right, like in like sheets hanging. And I thought to myself, well, this is amazing. This is like an actual town with people living there and doing their stuff and their chores and stuff. So that's a memory I have from the first time I've ever played the game.
It's good. And there's another thing, I think, if it rains or if it's nighttime, I think they put the washing away as well, which is a cool detail.
Yeah.
Right, moving on, guys. Sakura Oka. I thought, and this was, again, going back to like the first time I played and experienced Shenmue, you walk from Yamanose around the corner there, and the first thing you see is these like two ladies gossiping by the payphone. And I think it is one of Ryo's friends, I think, actually names them as the Gossip Gaggle.
Yes.
I think it's Ichiro or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I don't actually know the names of the ladies. I was going to say Sumiya-san, but I think that's the lady that's brushing or sweeping or whatever around the corner. But yeah, these two ladies there, and it's kind of like your first sort of outside interaction. I know you've just bumped into Megumi with a cat, but she's like a nothing sort of character. Well, obviously she no offense to any Megumi fans there, but I mean, like, she's not really. she's a child, and it's like this is the first sort of people that you're gaining information from. And I suppose there's an argument there. Megumi actually gives you more of a lead with Yamagishi-san, I guess. Yeah, but it's just interesting having. They've obviously put them there for a reason, so you can't help but talk to them as you pass. You get this information that Sumiya-san, they are gossiping, basically.
I'm trying to think I tell you what mine is: the Ape Store. All day, yeah. And the foul-mouthed lady that runs it.
That was a strange phrasing in Shenmue 3, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes.
Was it foul-mouthed lady or
foul-mouthed old lady?
I think so. Yeah.
It is, and then Shenmue responds something about we've got a lady that's got a dirty mouth or something.
Yeah.
Which is a bit odd. Like she's not really foul-mouthed, right? So she's
not really no.
Oh, little Rio. Yeah.
Yeah, I did find that line of dialogue quite odd, but amusing.
Was it lost in translation somehow?
Possibly.
Might have to dig into that one, see what they're actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
The same with the granny, that you got the option of beautiful or granny. Is that a translation thing?
I don't know. He calls her gorgeous, doesn't he?
Gorgeous, that's it, yeah. That was a strange moment as well.
Go on, Rio.
Yeah. This is one of those areas that's a little bit hard for me because I have a lot of memories. Probably the lady that you can help find the house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Which is a very nice way of teaching you a sort of a mechanic in the game, right? You want to find. I think you were at some point, or at that point, you're probably looking for Yamagishi-san, right?
Yeah.
And you first find the lady, and I don't think unless you like are zooming in on everything, many of us wouldn't think to look at the name plaques on the outside of the house. Yeah. And so that's a very nice way, very interesting way to just give you a little nudge and look. If you look at that, you can see whose house this is.
Yeah.
So,
I never really thought about it like that, but you're kind of right, because
it's sort of a tutorial.
He's almost sort of tucked away as well in his house. It's not an obvious place. Even when you go through the gate, you've got to like look to your right, sort of around the corner there. So yeah, I reckon that is probably a really great way of doing a bit of a tutorial.
Yeah.
In my opinion. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, guys, obviously Dobuita. You've got all the shops, the bars, the arcade, and yeah, it's quite a lot going on there. I was thinking I was going to go a little bit outside the box here and actually talk about the real life location of Dobuita, because obviously that's like a lot of Shenmue fans sort of bucket list things to do, is actually to go to Japan, go to Dobuita Street, based on this one location from the original game. You know.
Yeah.
I know people that have been to like Mamo Temple or GUILIN, but they're sort of more, I guess they're more extravagant sort of places to visit, whereas like Dobuita Street is like something that's means something. It's like your second home, and it also just gave me a chance to ask if you've ever been to Japan, Casey. Have you been to Dobuita Street in real life?
No, I haven't. Unfortunately, no.
Is it on the bucket list?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know it's on yours as well, Matt. Right?
Yeah, definitely. One day I'll get out there.
But yeah, that's me. I don't know if I cheated there, but
Let's have a think about mine.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's yours. Okay. So sorry. So the real life Dobuita is yours.
I was just thinking.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
show and
sense.
tell sort of thing. I have been, to be honest. I don't know. I didn't want to. I guess I could describe it to you guys, but I mean, after actually visiting Dobuita Street, it's like, and Switch actually showed me around, which was really cool of him. Otherwise, I feel like maybe I wouldn't have found it all that well. It's like tucked away a little bit, and it's also, it is and it isn't. It looks like Shenmue, if you know what I mean. So like chunks of it look like Shenmue, and you can like definitely see the inspiration. And certain shops, obviously, like that military surplus shop that's like literally on Dobuita Street, which is cool. I think it's called Kakita, it is Kakita on Dobuita Street. But like the layout of the road isn't obviously comparable to Shenmue. It's just more of like a straight road, and everything comes off in like little nooks and crannies. So I think the florist that they based on the Nozomi's flower shop is on a completely different road around the corner, and then you've got sort of like an area that feels a bit like Sakuroka, that you walk up some steps and there's like a park, very much, you know, like swing and slide, and looks really cool. I took a photo, bit dodgy because there was like kids playing there, so that looks a bit weird. Taking a photo of some random kids, but it looked very much like how you'd imagine the Sakuroka Park in Shenmue. So that's cool. And then we visited the shrine. It's got the sort of Hazuki residence dojo looking vibe. So yeah, I mean, it is. You can see the inspirations, but it's also not one-to-one. Like you go there expecting to like just be like, oh man, you know, this is where the arcade is, this is where that is. You don't get that sort of thing, but you do notice little bits that stick out to a Shenmue fan, and I think that's why people go away from that location having really enjoyed themselves. I think if you're not a Shenmue fan and you're just walking with someone that's a Shenmue fan on this road, you'd be like, what on earth are we doing here? There's like nothing happening here. There's nothing going on. Every other shop is like a jacket shop. But to a Shenmue fan, that's just amazing.
Awesome.
I've got to think of mine now.
Have I delayed it? You've not thought of it yet, Matt?
I can give you mine if you want to.
Go for it,
Yeah,
Casey.
go for it. I'll think of mine.
I'll give you two. Bar Yokosuka.
Ooh.
Okay, because I enjoy the fact that there's a really cool and collected guy there, Saijo-san.
Yes.
Who, I can't serve you alcohol, but you want a cola or something.
Yeah. Want to be mates with him, don't you?
Yeah, really cool guy. So I like that the vibe of that bar, and also Bob's Pizzeria. Because one of my big Shenmue questions from my very first playthrough was always, why is this Bob's Pizzeria if it's run by Mario?
That's true.
But okay. Mysteries of Shenmue. We'll never know.
Maybe they originally intended it to be Bob, and then they thought, well, it's how do we express that he's Italian? Mario.
It hasn't aged that well, right?
Some of the dialogue's funny, yeah.
Some dialogue.
Yeah.
Hello, Rio. It's a pizza margarita.
Yeah, there's one line of funny dialogue that I don't know if you've seen that Shenmue No Context guy on Twitter. He's done it multiple times, and it's like cheap plane go boom or something. It's like, I don't remember that, but Mario comes out with it apparently.
Oh god.
I think mine probably is the feeling I think of the game opening up. It starts to open up in Dobuita. You get, yes, it's not a massive area, but then like the first playthrough, you could easily become lost, especially with like the little side street and where heartbeats is and things like that. I think that's where the world starts to open up. You start to feel that you're in a living, breathing town with all these people, all these routines, and that for me is I think synonymous with Dobuita and Shenmue, in fairness.
Yeah, and it's you first meeting with Tom as well, who's I think the first time you play is the standout character, isn't he? From the series after Rio and Nozomi. Right, guys, so moving on to the harbour now, I was thinking about like what stands out to me as like a cool thing that's happening in there, because obviously you got the old warehouse district, the new warehouse district, and the forklift and all that sort of stuff, but I thought I'll ignore all of that and I'll go for the side quest that you get from Hoka Hoka Lunch's stand.
Oh yeah.
Really cool, where it starts out, can you go help Mai, she's dealing with a bad crowd sort of thing, and then you go over there, you slap some women, these schoolgirls, with quite a cool, fun QTE. You kind of want to hit them, don't you, because how mean they are to Rio, and you can see they're setting a bad example for Mai as well. And it's good actually that Mai sort of comes out of that, and she goes from someone who could potentially be someone like them, like swearing and hanging around with a bad crowd, but she comes off as like this really nice girl actually, and also persuades Goro a little bit to go away from that sort of whatever he was up to, mugging people and pissing in the harbour. But then that leads to the Hoka Hoka lunches, where Rio actually takes the meals to the old warehouse district, which I thought was quite a cool way of, again, like Casey sort of saying, it's sort of a tutorial. If you can't find where the old warehouse district is, it turns it into a cutscene, so you take the lunches off there, and then Rio's actually at the whole old warehouse district, so you can kind of gauge where that is then from that point onwards, which is a nice way of sort of introducing you to certain aspects of the harbour, I think.
Yep.
I think on from that is the additional cutscenes you get with GUILIN. When you think you translate the stab armor and you translate the scroll, that's something very easily missed, but again, it's hidden in, and it's a nice little addition to Shenmue and to the sort of character of Rio, and also GUILIN, because he's very cold with Rio in these interactions, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. For me, I think it would be like the interactions you get with the homeless man. Right?
He's a good character.
Which is like you wouldn't really think that would be an important character at all, right? So that's actually quite educational as well, in a way. Don't dismiss someone just because you don't think they look like they're all that knowledgeable about something or important or whatever, or they're that well in life. And it ends up being an interesting relationship, right? And
for sure,
you get to learn a move and stuff, so that's nice.
Yeah, good pick, man. I really like that. That's good. Surprised you didn't go with either of you like the 70-man battle, or
It's the obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. Or the bike to the harbour, like Nayuki's bike driving.
That's a whole new location. That's like the freeway.
Yeah,
That's
doesn't
true.
count.
Or the wish thing.
I was waiting for that location after this.
Okay, well, it's not going to happen because we're skipping straight into Shenmue 2 now with Aberdeen. So this is obviously the first area Rio arrives at in Hong Kong. You've got the port, the Free Stay Lodge, sort of leads to Workers' Pier, Fortune's Pier. I think I've wrote this down, Queen Street. I think that's still part of Aberdeen. And then ultimately like the bridge that goes across King's Road.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that I will mention is everyone's favourite character, Dalin. This sort of downgrade from forklifting of Shenmue 1 to moving boxes weird left and right for no apparent reason, but some fun times I had like experiencing that on your first playthrough when he's like left, and it's like, okay mate, let's go left unnecessarily, but it's a good way. I suppose you again, you're sort of forced into that, aren't you, to earn a little bit of money at the start, because the money's very tight. Anyone that's played Shenmue 2 can attest to after experiencing the wrath of Wong.
And since you mentioned No Context Shenmue, and I think you, James, actually submitted this one. If you connect, it'll give Ren a good blow.
Oh yeah.
That was from the other day. That was because I was after some footage of the brawling uppercut. I think it was for your post, Matt. You know, when it was like name a bigger downgrade.
Yeah.
I think I did Dalin doing the brawling uppercut, and then Beijing from Shenmue 3 doing the brawling uppercut. Like a poor man's Dalin.
Oh, let me have a think of what. I'll tell you what I think of actually. I won't go for the obvious one, but the music actually in Aberdeen's really good, especially Queen Street in the day. That music's an absolute banger.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that.
For sure.
I always had my own lyrics to some of them, you know, because I was playing the game so much. Is it the one where it's? I think it was.
Yeah, that's the one.
So because I was in Queen Street heading to Workers' Pier, I was singing, "We're going to the Workers' Pier. We're going to the Workers' Pier." Oh, silence.
I sense a new album coming soon.
Let's both be speechless.
Yeah, as for me, I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind, and especially thinking of like the first playthrough, arm wrestling.
Yeah,
Ooh,
true.
Cool.
Arm wrestling, which was something that I actually did quite a lot. One of my favorite mini games for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was never really much into the gambling mini games. But I actually enjoyed arm wrestling back in the day quite a lot. So I think in the game, not real life arm wrestling. Yeah.
How was your right arm muscle after that? That used to kill me
Yeah, you used to.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, some of those were really tough.
Mm.
Yeah. So, but that's the first thing that I think pops into my mind when I think of that place.
Good stuff. Okay, moving into Wanchai now, or Wanzai, for some reason that they call it in the English dub. It's quite a lot to choose from actually in Wanchai, probably too much actually. Hopefully you can find something out of this, because you've got your for some reason 6 quarters. I don't know. I've never heard of quarters being in 6s, but that's something that there's in the game. I try and reel them off. What have you got? You've got the Lucky Charm quarter,
You've
Wiseman's quarter, Golden quarter,
Yeah,
Green Market quarter,
yeah.
South Carmain quarter, and
White Dynasty.
White Dynasty quarter. Yeah, okay. Scarlet Hills is another one.
Are we separating Scarlet Hills?
No, that's part of one channel.
Oh,
We're
okay,
going to do it here. So you can mention Mammo Temple if you want. So there's loads of cutscenes, some, especially during like the Chowan sign, and the one that I'm going to talk about, I think it's the best QTE sequence in the game. It's the Watermelon Smackdown.
Yes.
Which, I don't know, has anyone ever tried punching a watermelon? Is it?
Not like kind of like not breaking my hand.
Yeah,
True,
I do enjoy my hands as well.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. I think some of the moves Ryo pulls off in that particular QT cuts, that was like, I think that was the first, apart from maybe like chasing Jimmy and those chases from like the first game, it was probably the longest QT sequence of the game so far.
Yeah.
And just amazing. Some of the stuff that happens there, punching the guys into like the ducks stand and all that sort of stuff going on, and ultimately reaching Yuan. Yeah, that's mine.
I think I'm gonna go 4 Wood or Voodoo for Wanchai, because you spend a good portion of that section you're running around the different quarters, engaging with different people like the martial arts school, Jamin, Guixang, etc. Yeah, that's and actually the anime did a good job of representing that quite well, actually, in the importance of the Wood in the game. And yeah, it was a very well done section. I quite enjoyed it.
They did do a good job in the anime. Was it like a wood per episode, right?
Yeah, it was.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah,
Which was good, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I would probably go not exactly Menmo Temple, but the Scarlet Hills area.
Okay.
Just because of the visuals. Like the I don't know. It feels like a different place from the rest of the quarters of the areas of Wanchai. All those red leaves and stuff. Really enjoyed it. And like the blue skies as well. You get there
True.
when you get to the top of the stairs, right, and get nice blue skies, and so that's which is for me synonymous with Sega.
Yeah.
So I really did enjoy that the first time around. So yeah, probably that. Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. A lot more serene compared to the rest of Wanchai. Hustle and bustle.
And airing out books as well. So
Yes.
Luke's, that's true.
bonus.
Good point. Moving into Kowloon now. So obviously there's tons in Kowloon as well. You've got your full interiors and exteriors of buildings. Dragon Street. There's more quarters, I think, as well. These might even be exactly 4 quarters in Kowloon. The Sap Quarter.
Thousand White Stand.
Dim Sum.
Ransom Quarter.
And
Yeah.
Dragon Street.
Is that considered a quarter? Or is there a T?
There's
T
T-break
something? Or is that
buildings.
just a
isn't
building? Is there a 4th quarter?
there? Ooh, that's a question. I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Either way, I'll let you think about that while I talk about mine.
What you got? Dragon Street, Thousand White, Dim Sum, and Stand are the 4 areas.
Right, Dim Sum and Stand
Yeah.
and Dragon Street. Okay. Sort of then.
Yeah.
Give him a pass on that one. I'm just trying to think what I thought about now. Oh, okay. So when you listen to the cassettes,
Yeah.
the white tap
Yes,
cassettes,
yes.
and you hear the ringing of a bell.
Yeah.
This is something I always did. You speak to the blind guy or whatever, and then my train of thought is the Moonchild building. Let's go to the Moonchild building, and then ultimately you get to the orphanage with the kids, and like Rio's reluctant to hand over his capsule toy, which is funny. But when I was watching, I think it was Titch streaming, and I've seen a couple of people do it this way as well. They went to the Thousand White knife shop and was asking about Yuan there, and that takes them to the Nine Birds building and completely skips the orphanage, which I didn't even know was a thing. So that was always that was a revelation to me that there was a split path moment there that I never even knew about.
I think I did that on my first few playthroughs. Yeah.
I just always thought of the bell. Like, obviously, it's the most significant thing from the tape in it that he leaves with. So I was going around asking everyone, about. I think you get a set of options like Bal, Yuan, and I don't know, something else maybe.
Knives? No,
knives possibly
maybe not. Because I if I went to the knife store, I think probably that was an option.
That's probably what you did. Yeah. I think the orphanage is the better route, if I'm being honest.
For sure.
That's what I think mine. Do you know what? I think Kowloon's just epic. The whole thing is epic.
The whole thing.
It's just.
I was thinking you would say the Yellowhead building map.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put it all together. I think the whole thing's epic from start to finish. The arrival, the story really kicks into gear there. Especially within the first 10 minutes, you're getting captured, and then you've got the QTE sequence to get out. It slows down a little bit, it gets a bit cheesy when you're tailing Yuan, but then you obviously have the Ghost Hall planks, which less said about those buggers. Better.
You just made me think of that 5 Stars Corpse. That's probably what I would have gone with actually for the thought about it a bit more.
And yeah, it's just epic. Kowloon is epic.
Well said.
True. Yeah. So I thought of many things while you guys were talking. The orphanage was one of them. The rooftop scene, amazing.
Yeah.
Getting to the planks. No, please. Let's not talk about that.
No.
But I'll say leaving Kowloon.
Oh yes.
That's probably, I think, maybe on par with arriving at GUILIN. But I think a little bit more because of like the music. It's like a variation of the Shenmue theme and saying goodbye to everyone and stuff. Leaving Kowloon was a very emotional moment for me as well, and I think that's one of my favorite moments and cutscenes in the series.
Yeah, very heartfelt moment, and then obviously you get to go back to Mamo Temple again. You get all that stuff
And
with
learn the
singing and
move.
stuff, which is like stuff that we're still waiting to find out about today. Okay, guys, so moving into Shenmue 2's GUILIN now. So we're still in the last little portion of Shenmue 2 here. You've got Langushan, the little port area there, obviously the various paths and trails along the way to Shenhua's house. But the part that I was going to mention is like that sort of halfway cave.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Specifically the cutscene where Rio's on the cliff and he's
Oh,
doing his
yes.
Tai Chi moves.
For sure.
It's so epic how
For
it
sure.
sort of the camera pans around and you see the eagle flying through the cliffs, at the top of the is it the Li River or the
That's
might
it.
be
Yeah.
Yang Shui River or something, whatever it's called. It's just such an epic moment, and that whole section where you're sleeping with Shenhua in the cave and talking to her about your friends, memories. It's like the first part in the storyline so far where you just feel like you're beginning to connect to this character, the Shenhua, that you haven't really seen up until this point. It's just amazing how they sort of took that risk that they've got the main character on the front of the Shenmue 1 box art, and there's like virtually nothing with her until the very end of Shenmue 2. It's just amazing. Blows my mind still,
But it's
thinking about it now.
It's so intense in that 2 hour, 2.5 hour period that you were with her, that actually, because it's so intense, it's so detailed, if you do all those conversations that you can have there, it can last a lot longer than 2 hours. You can be probably touching 3.5, 4, can't it? Again, it's that richness of character, it's that richness of conversations. By the end of it, you feel like you may have only been with her 4 hours in terms of our real time, but it feels like you've got to know her, and that risk of not seeing her till that point is it pays itself off in that regard, I think.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like this journey that you've just reached. It's like everything that's gone on in Yokosuka and up until this point, it actually feels like you're significantly into a journey now, doesn't it? It's like the story's just spreading wide open from this point onwards, especially with everything that happens at the end of the game. But I just always felt like it's such an epic moment, an epic journey to get to that point.
Yeah, definitely.
And the references to the original game as well, like Rio talking. So going back to that, the conversations with Shenhua in Shenmue 3. That's like the first glimpse of that we get in Shenmue 2, right? So seeing that again in Shenmue 3, even though maybe it could have been even more fleshed out, it's nice to see that again, and that's what made that fourth disc so amazing, right? That final part of the game, which is there's no fighting. You're just walking most of the time and talking.
Nice, relax.
It's amazing. You couldn't imagine Shenmue the series without that portion of the game.
No,
it wouldn't just be the same. Yeah,
for sure.
Try to think mine. Do you know what? I think I'm probably copping out a little bit, but it's the ending. It's the cave and all the mirror lore that you get at Shenhua's house. You get a little bit more of her and her lineage and all of that, and you talk about Lijiang, and that ending is whatever you think of Shenmue 3 and whatever you think of the Shenmue series, it was arguably the biggest cliffhanger in gaming for a long time, and I can't ignore it.
Yeah,
100% that.
Yeah, I'll say two things. Seeing Shenhua for the first time, because obviously we knew that character was in there somewhere, right? We had it. We had her in the cover of the first game, like Tim said. So that was that's the girl, and the Shenmue tree.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was epic.
What a moment that was.
Yeah, that was amazing as well.
Did it make you chuckle the first time they said the word Shenmue out loud?
Yes,
Shenmue
for
tree.
sure.
It was always like one of those moments like it's just named after a tree this time, but no, it's very, very special. And that leads us into Shenmue 3 now, a portion. So we're going to split this into the two halves of Bailu and Niawu. So Bailu village side, for me, I just love and even more so, we're doing like these lore episode streams where we've dug deep into the history of like the Emperor and stuff. The Verdant Bridge and the history surrounding that, I just absolutely love that stuff. I love the fact that you're seeing these obviously like the older characters, your Aldeir and stuff, as children. So like they were actually there, seeing this envoy come for the Emperor's sort of service of getting a stonemason to design his mirrors, and you're just sort of touching on these bits of information and lore and stuff that I was hoping to get out of Shenmue 3, and I think that is probably like the finest example of what I wanted out of Shenmue, like getting into this deep history and lore and learning about what's going on in this village. And I think there's like 2 or 3 of those types of cutscenes, and each time I'm just like, this is really, really cool. It's some of the highlights for me in Shenmue 3, story-wise.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I think Bailey Village is synonymous, isn't it? It's the location that we'd been waiting for so long, and we finally got to play it. Now, is it necessarily what we'd have got on a Dreamcast version? Maybe not. But for me, the way I describe Bailey Village is the dreams do come true. Simple as that.
Shed a tear.
Yeah. It was an emotional moment when you picked that up for the first time, and you're in Bailey. You get into that village square for the first time. You're like, yeah, I'm home.
Yeah, and the flowers before you get to the bridge, right? That flowery field. That's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, epic.
Makes you want to see something like that in real life, like just a field of flowers. There is. It's like wildfire.
And it's funny, like Shenmue 2 and Shenmue 3 have like the GUILIN setting, right? The like those rocky formations. I've seen several times on the internet and TV and stuff, like pictures of the GUILIN area, the real GUILIN area, and I'm like, oh, that's GUILIN, and people around me are like, how do you know that?
How'd you know?
Shenmue. Unmistakable. Yeah, those rocky formations are unmistakable.
Amazing. It's a place on my bucket list, that is GUILIN. I'd love to go one day.
Yeah,
Same.
So yeah, so
got a pick, Casey?
A pick. I mean, it's hard to pick just one. I usually think of Bailu as like the whole village, but the temple where you get to read everyone's like wishes.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
That was nice. That was really a cool little add-on there. Like you can read like everyone's messages and wishes, and some of them are really like children, like funny things, like silly things. Other are like very deep thoughts, and people like trying to come back to protect their families and stuff. So it's really a nice little touch there that like fleshes out the feeling of real life reality in that game as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really nice temple, actually. That, like the inside as well. You wanted to look around.
Yeah,
cat on the chessboard. Right, guys. So the final area now, Niaowu. And the first thing that I thought of instantly was the Chobu-chans, just the hunting building around all the shops. That was such a cool mini game. I've said it before, Matt. It's like it could be its own game. You know, it's that deep. Is there like 120 to collect, and each one of them are like a pain in the arse, or there's a lot of them. But just some of the ways that they camouflage them in the environment is just
very clever.
Like a rice ball with a beak. I just love that stuff. You know, a light bulb. I think one of them's a light bulb, and I just loved hunting for them just in each of the stores. It was a good implementation of actually making you to go into a shop, because obviously in Shenmue 2 there's like so many shops that you probably never even bothered entering, or when you did there was just an NPC that you could talk to, that you could just talk to anyone outside, you didn't need to go in the shop for. So this is like a way of getting people into each store to actually have a look around and see what they've created. I think is a nice way of doing a little mini game hunt thing.
Yeah,
Matt got one?
Oh, I'm trying to think.
I've got one. If you want to think a little
got
bit
one
more.
as well. Actually, I'm going to
Okay.
go for the cutscene with Grandmaster Bay on the Cormorant Fisher on the boat, where he tells Rio his kung fu is lacking. I love that cutscene. That's very Shenmue. Very, very Shenmue.
He's quite a good character, actually. They fleshed out him probably more so than the other little side characters that help you with the castle at the end.
Yeah, they did.
Getting the book for him and then him reading the page and it's ripped or whatever. Good character.
Yeah. I would say the intro to Niawu, like the boat ride as well. But since I've mentioned that before, I would go with Hotel Niawu. For several reasons. One of them being the owner, right?
Yeah.
Ma, Jialing Ma, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Interesting character there. Interesting being
an understatement.
I think a nice choice of words here. And also the like the whole feeling of being in a hotel, which is nice. You can go to the balcony. You can read the messages from backers, Kickstarter backers as well, right? The guests.
The guest books.
Guest book. Yeah. So that's a nice little touch there as well. I was wondering where those would be. And that's really nice. So yeah, the hotel, definitely something different from like the guest houses where you were before in Shenmue 2, for example. Yeah, really nice setting.
Yeah, but like run down ones. Whereas this is, I suppose, Shuing's room is probably a nice hotel in a sense. Good picks, guys. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't. I only just thought about the castle, actually. Landy, someone could have mentioned Landy, actually fighting Landy for the first time. But I'm glad we sort of went for what we picked, actually. Some interesting things that you all showed off and told me about in that little show and tell section. Right, Casey, we've got one more music break that I'm hoping you've got your third pick for. We're going to get into now.
Yep.
Before we've got something special for you.
Someone's calling me. I think I need to go. So my third pick is actually the song that's used when you get to Niawu, right? So you take the boat from
the Sega Saturn theme.
The Sega Saturn theme,
okay.
as we used to know it. Now we know it as Flow of the Lijiang River. So epic.
Lovely stuff. Welcome back. That was Flow of the Lijiang River from Shenmue 3. And we've got a little surprise for Casey. I know he likes to do this on his shows.
Oh my god.
He likes to experiment with people and bring fear into people's lives.
You make me sound like a mad scientist or something.
Yeah, but actually, I really like quizzes, to be honest. It's probably what I look forward to on your show, actually, a nice little quiz. So I don't know if you feel the same on ours, but we've got a little quiz for us to partake in a moment after you listen to this jingle.
Now, you know our guests. They're amazing. They're stars. But are they ready for the
Shenmue Dojo show.
challenge? It can be a quiz in reverse
Shenmue.
music. It can be anything we want. Welcome to hell. I mean, welcome to the
Shenmue Dojo show.
challenge.
Oh, that was amazing. Well done. Well
Thank
done,
you. I don't know
sir.
if you caught that in the middle of there, but we are going to have a quiz in reverse music. Reverse Shenmue music, rather.
Okay. Yes.
So basically what we're going to do, and I haven't written this down, so I probably should have got this written down, but I had the idea that perhaps you're going to score a point for getting the name of the song or where it's located in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But these clips are 20 seconds long, so if you can answer it within the first 10 seconds, and you can each answer, you can be working together, Matt and KCR.
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 points if you can get it in the first 10 seconds, but I'll only take like the first answer that you give. You can give another answer at the end of the clip if you gave me one within the 10 seconds, but I'll only take your first answer within the first 10 seconds for the 2 points, okay?
Okay.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually made that quite simple, I think. So we're going to listen to them in reverse first, and then obviously I'll play them again in the proper thing, just so you know I wasn't messing about with them. Okay, is clip number 1, guys. So like I say, if you can answer it in the first 10 seconds, I'll give you 2 points for it.
Okay. That's tomato.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. Can we answer?
So to answer your question, no.
Tomato. I think you did get on the first 10 seconds. didn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't say anything. I just say yes. I want to guess. Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to say the actual thing, right? The actual
Yeah.
name of the
Okay.
song.
Or if it's like
Okay.
you don't know the name of the song, because I may have picked like something
Yes.
that's
Okay.
got a specific name.
Yeah.
Just tell me where you've heard it from, perhaps.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, just to prove that was the Tomato Convenience Store is the correct way. There you go.
Classic.
Right, guys, here's clip number 2.
Nighttime.
Oh, I know what
Nighttime
this is.
change. Right?
Yeah, nighttime.
You got it, guys. And you got that within the first 10 seconds as well. Actually sounds so good, this does, doesn't it, like this? That's like a lo-fi sort of vibe, that.
Yeah.
I was thinking of playing that in full at the end of the show.
I'm just sorry this never had like a full, like official, like full version of this song. Something like 5 minutes long or something. That would be nice.
It does have a longer version.
It does?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 5 minutes,
on a
but
soundtrack somewhere.
it's definitely like 3 minutes. At least 3 minutes.
Do I
It's not
do I
just a
have
fade
it?
out.
Maybe I do. And
I don't know. You
never
definitely
know.
need to play it on the night train or something. Definitely.
It's like it's like a 2 minute long. Yeah, I do have a
Okay.
Yeah. You're right.
I know it's longer than
longer.
the transition.
I want longer.
You want longer. You have to play it in normal first and then in reverse after. But yeah,
Yes.
here's the normal side. This still gives me goosebumps.
Amazing.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, guys,
Amazing,
here
amazing.
is clip number 3.
Anime theme.
Which one?
The ending.
It's the end of the anime.
Nice. So you got it, guys. I feel like you did just get that in the first 10 seconds.
I don't remember the name, but
Sympathy.
sympathy.
Go on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll give you that.
I was thinking of honesty, but no, I knew
Honesty.
it wasn't there. Sympathy.
Sympathy. Yeah.
Nice.
So you've got a full set of scores so far. It is clip number
stuff.
4.
I know this.
That's. Go on, Casey. I think I know what it is.
No, I can't remember. I know what this is, but I can't remember where it plays.
I
Interesting, guys.
think it's the crate carrying music.
Yeah, smart.
Oh yes,
Is
that's
that what you were
it.
thinking, Casey, or not?
Yeah, I was thinking of something mini game related. Yes, but wasn't really sure.
See, it was obvious to me, but I've got the name in front of me, so that's probably why. Here we go.
Yes.
Tricky in reverse, actually.
Mm.
Everyone's favourite character. Okay, clip number 5. Any guesses, guys?
I mean, it sounds like Shenmue.
GUILIN. It sounds like somewhere from GUILIN.
Disappointed in you, Matt.
I don't think so.
I might
I
be
think
wrong.
it sounds like I don't think it sounds like Shenmue 3 at all. But it may be. Oh, but you mean GUILIN like Shenmue 2?
Yeah, but I could be wrong. Could be very wrong.
Can we play it again?
I don't think so.
Would you like to hear it again, guys, or not?
Yeah,
Yeah, go on.
maybe. Yeah. Ah. Is it like the oh my god. Is this a cutscene like is it the carrot eating
Ooh.
scene? No. No, maybe not. Is it? I don't know.
That's Memories of Distant
Memories of-
Days, then.
yes.
That's the name of the song.
But I'm not sure. It doesn't really 100% sounds like it. Reminded me of it, but
You're going to have to
I
give
don't
me
think it
an
is.
answer here then, guys. What are you going with?
Should
go
we
on,
go
Matt.
Memories of Distant Days.
If you don't have any
I haven't, got
better
any, I
option.
haven't got any other option.
Okay, so let's go.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
It
I can't
is,
do,
yes.
I can't do what you do, Casey.
Don't do that. Don't do that to me.
Okay, you were right. It is Memories of Distant Day, which is why I was disappointed in you, Matt.
It is. Wow.
I should know. It was played at my wedding.
I know. I was going to say, I thought you would recognise that instantly. Yeah.
But yes.
Can you hear it
Sounds
now?
so different backwards.
I got like vibes of it, but it didn't really sound like it would be.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like that second time we played it, I was like listening out for what you might be hearing because it's different because I know what it is, but I can see why it stumped you a bit. There was a bit where it went a bit GUILIN-y, like do 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 do, you know, like a sort of a sway GUILIN
Yeah.
bit. Okay, here's clip 6.
Mhm.
That's a difficult one.
Is it? Yeah. It isn't actually, I think. Matt, please.
I recognise, I might be wrong, but it sounds like the music I used for the ending of the interviews, which is the scene where Rio talks to the little girl in Bailey Village.
Do you want to go with that?
Ooh. I was thinking of actually something else, but okay, maybe.
We can go with it.
I was thinking of borrowing Nayuki's bike, but I
can see what
might
you're
be
going
wrong.
with.
Yeah, it's this last part. This last part is the beginning of the clip, right? Not in reverse, so
yeah.
That's why I was thinking of that, but I don't know. Maybe you're right.
I'll take the hit on it if I'm wrong.
Yeah, let's go with you. I'll defer to you.
So the cutscene where Rio meets the little girl Jorin in Shenmue 3, yeah?
Yeah.
Spot on.
There we go. Ah, yes. Very good.
It's a good song.
It is a good song.
It is, yes.
I always wonder with Shenmue 3 music now, have we heard this before? And I've just got so used to this in Shenmue 3 now.
That we definitely
haven't, right?
We definitely hadn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of times when I'd listened to something and I'm like, is that Shenmue 2 or is that Shenmue 3 now? It's like difficult.
Yeah, some of it is reused, but the new ones are pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, here's clip 7. Should be an easy one, I think, this one.
Super hang on.
Okay, good job.
Yeah.
Not super, but I got you.
Actually, hang on, right?
Yeah, it's just hang on.
Just hang on, because it's the arcade version.
I'll give you 2 points for that, yeah. Right, I'll play it normal.
Do you know what this is called?
It's a good question. So it's not just... Is it just the hang on theme? Has it got an
It's
actual...
the theme of love.
Theme of love. I'm going to give you an extra point for that, though. Do.
Yeah.
Very good.
Great song.
Some tune. Okay, clip 8.
Oh my god. If I didn't recognize this.
Yes.
Morning Wave, Haze, whatever.
Waves of Morning Haze.
Just about got that. Yeah, on the 10th second you said that, Casey, so I'll let you have 2 points for that. Yeah. I thought actually after we played it early in the show, I got to recognise that.
It's an absolute banger.
Amazing. It would be really bad if I didn't get this one. By the way, quick side here. I actually, when we were talking about One Chai, I should have said Wong's boat. Wong's boat was the
Wong's boat.
That's where this plays in the game.
Would that be considered Aberdeen, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Aberdeen. So the first time I heard the song was that like cutscene where Rio wakes up in the boat and you get like a full cinematic view of the harbor and like the pier and stuff.
Awesome.
And for no reason whatsoever, it's not important for the story. You just get this amazing cutscene, like aerial view of Aberdeen.
Yeah,
and it's awesome.
Like a sit back and embrace moment into it.
Yeah,
an epic moment.
I've always wondered why that scene is in there. You don't really need it. It doesn't really advance anything in story-wise. You're not really moving from one place to the other, like when you leave Kowloon or whatever. But it's
Yeah,
awesome.
It's a
It's
bit random.
amazing.
But it's just like a Rio just thinking in that moment or something. Clip number 9, guys.
Wish?
Yeah.
Yes.
The saxophone straight away gives that.
It was. I left just a tiny little bit of sax in. Stay with me.
Nice.
This is the kind of song that made these clips 20 seconds.
Okay.
Because I managed to just get that stay with me and a little bit of sax. Here is clip 10.
Ooh, I know this, but I can't remember where from.
Matt, any ideas?
Is this Shenmue 3? I think this is Shenmue
No
3.
clue here. I'm stumped.
I think this is late into... I think this is Shenmue 3,
I couldn't
but I
think.
can't
where.
remember where exactly.
Do you want to skip this one? Is this your first skip? Do you want to just give me at least an answer, I
I
guess?
have no idea here, Matt.
No, I have
I'll
no
tell you
idea.
that you're right with Shenmue 3.
I think it's like late into Shenmue 3, maybe. I feel like, but I can't really remember where. Yeah, I have no idea whatsoever.
No, I don't. I have no idea.
Okay, I'll give you the answer then for the sake of time, but this was the woodchopping theme.
Oh,
Oh,
bugger.
God.
At least the first part, until you start getting good excellence or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, clip 11.
Oh, that's the intro to Shenmue 2.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 on that. Spot on. And normal.
And it also plays...
It plays at the end of the castle sequence in Shenmue 3.
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
Yep. And if they do play in more than one location, I'll still give it to you, boss. It's like that. Here is clip 12.
Ah, that's Leaving Debuita.
Oh! Yes.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah, just before you hit the harbour.
Definitely. Yes.
You're right.
Exactly.
Yep. Dobuita Departure.
Good shot, that one. Yeah.
I think it may be called Christmas on Dobuita Street as well. It's got those sort of Christmas bells, jingles. Okay, clip 13. Should be an easy one, I think.
Duck racing?
Yeah.
Duck Racing's right, yeah. I love that little sound then.
I just realized, like a few weeks ago, that there's a duck racing channel on Twitch.
Oh yeah.
And that blew my mind.
Non-stop gambling on the
yeah,
duck races.
It's
Exactly.
very clever, very clever. You can like bet fake money. It's quite good fun.
Yeah.
That little flute section in reverse was quite interesting. If anyone doesn't know why I chose to do reverse music, it's kind of your thing, right, Casey? Or at least it was early in your Sega Lounge challenges.
Yeah, and shout out to Resident SD, because this was taken from a show he did on Radio Sega called Sega Ages.
I didn't.
And just like Ages is Sega in reverse, he had a game every week where people had to guess music in reverse. So
makes sense.
that's where I
Very clever.
got the idea from. So yeah, credit where credit is due.
Resident SD, bit of a legend anyway. So
Yeah.
clip 14.
It's
Is it-
the
yeah.
Niao Arrival, Flow of the
Yeah,
Lijiang
Flow of the
River.
Lijiang River.
Nice.
Yes. I was gonna say that,
Spot on,
but then at
guys.
some point, it's different. No, it's not. But it is.
Some bits sound exactly the same, actually, in reverse.
Yeah, this part is the same.
And normal. So I picked two songs that you actually picked, Casey, on today's show. Read each other's minds.
It's rigged. The game is rigged.
It's very much...
It's iconic.
I know it is the Sega Saturn theme or whatever, but it does feel very Sega Saturn with that piece of music, actually. It
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
reminds me of, like, Panzer Dragoon with the flutes or whatever's playing there.
Mm-hmm.
Clip 15.
Lucky hit.
Yes.
Oh, well done.
Nailed it.
Yeah, now I can hear it.
And normal. Yep. I wonder why they changed this in Shenmue 3.
Banter.
Banter, did you say?
Yeah.
Bants. A bit of bants. Clip 16, guys.
Rooftop fight, maybe? No. I'm not sure. Wait.
Yeah, it's a rooftop fight.
It is,
Yep.
isn't it?
I'll give you that, actually.
Yeah.
2 points. Just because Casey wasn't... Like, normally... I
Sure.
reckon-
Yeah.
If you sound confident in your first 10
Yeah, it's fair.
seconds,
It's fair. It's
you-
fair. 1 point is fair. Yeah. I wasn't really.
No, 2 points I'm giving you. I'm giving you 2 points. I'm much fairer than you are at Cuzzies.
It's the music that plays as as the helicopter comes up.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually called Rooftop Confrontation. Good job, guys. Clip 17.
It's
It's
the anime
the
theme.
intro theme anime. Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Kasharito Ito Undead Noise.
Dead Noid, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 points for that one. Nice and quick on that one.
Banger. Absolute banger, this song.
Can't not love it, can you?
A banger. Yeah.
Absolute banger. Another banger for you here with clip 18.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Willy Bloody Wonka. It's the Bailu Village theme for
Yes.
Shenmue 3.
It actually sounds better in reverse.
It's called Oxin Toe, believe it or not.
Oh yeah, it is.
Good call on that. Spot on with the name, Oxen 2. Yeah, I think it definitely sounds better in reverse. It just grates on you, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh god. And it's so short.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, it's nice. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's like it's nice, but it's not at the same time.
It's like it doesn't go anywhere. It's like it plays and then doesn't do anything.
It's too short, so it's just very...
Yeah.
And it does sound like Willy Wonka theme. Clip 19.
Oh, this is one of the shops.
One sign.
Chawan sign.
Oh,
Yeah. I haven't been too mean, actually,
Yes.
by doing like specific shops or anything, apart from the Tomato Convenience store.
okay.
I thought I'd pick stuff that you could probably recognise
And it
Yeah.
also played in the end credits of Shenmue 3.
for about half an hour.
No, we'll ignore that.
And your last one, guys, I think you should get this within the 10 seconds. Have a listen.
Tom's theme.
Yeah. Anyone know what it's called?
Hip hop.
Hip the hop.
Hip the Hop.
Yeah.
Yep. That ending. Let me just play the ending of that
Oh,
again.
that was
That's
amazing.
Brilliant.
Lovely stuff. I'm just going to tally up the
that
scores
was-
while I play it normally.
Let me take you on a trip. Let me take you on a ride.
Okay, guys, you scored 33 out of 40 in that quiz, which very respectable, actually.
Nice.
Take that.
Much better than I expected. Well done. Well done, Matt.
Yeah, and one track that you got completely wrong, but you guessed 19 out of 20 correctly. So, yeah, here you go.
Yeah. Good job.
There you go, using some of the tools at my disposal there. Good job, guys. Right, so we're going to wind down now with a final question to UKC, or a final couple of questions, and that is obviously your podcast show, the Sega Lounge. If you could tell us how you got into podcasting to begin with, and then just tell us a little bit about your show and what listeners can expect to find with the Sega Lounge.
Yeah. So I started into podcasting actually as editing podcasts. So that was my first actual job, let's call it that, at Radio Sega, as part of Radio Sega staff. When back in 2010 we started having live shows, we thought it would be nice to have them recorded and available for people to download and listen to later. So at some point, the head of Radio Sega thought, well, let's ask people from the community to help, and let's make it easier for show hosts to have these shows available, right? So I joined the podcast team, and for a while I just did that. But then sometime in 2012/13, there was a change at Radio Sega. The person in charge changed. I actually was assisting that person, but in reality, I was actually in charge of the whole station, because
Really?
the person wasn't around much, and I thought we need to like revamp the whole radio situation here. We need more shows, and we need to get more people, doing shows on Radio Sega. So I decided to host my own show, which was clearly a mistake, and to invite other people to join the radio team as well. So I started doing shows in 2013, and more to the point, the podcast that is the Sega Lounge now. So in May 2014, I decided that we needed a talk show. We needed to interview people, from the community, like get musicians that worked in Sega games and developers and stuff to come on the radio and talk to us and tell us their stories. I pitched the idea to the other and better show hosts, but no one wanted to do it. So I thought to myself, well, maybe if I start doing it, they'll see it's a good idea. And maybe I'll do it like a short season of it. And then someone else will pick up the mantle and keep going. 9 years later, I'm still doing it. uh, and at some point, so in 2020, I decided to do this as like a proper podcast first and foremost. It still airs on Radio Sega, but then I decided to like make it like a proper podcast. So it's more like, I wouldn't say more professional because I'm still not professional enough.
It's professional.
Yeah, but it's a little bit. There's a little bit more care. It's not done live, which was also a challenge because when it was
Is
a
that when
radio
you were
show,
like doing it with Donnie? I remember.
yeah.
Donnie.
So that's how we started. I started with Donnie as my co-host, but then at some point he left, so I kept doing it on my own, but doing it live most of the times on the radio with bad music. Without the proper equipment as well meant that it was poorly mixed most of the times. So by the end of the radio show run it was much better. But then I decided to do it even better as a podcast. But obviously, it's still part of Radio Sega. As like I like to say it, like the Radio Sega network of radio shows and podcasts, and it still airs first on Radio Sega, and then it's available every Friday at midnight UK time as a podcast on all podcasting services and apps and whatnot. What is the show about? It's about Sega. So I usually interview people that have some sort of relationship with Sega, whether they're fans and have like really cool projects like you guys, or if they're working on like a new game for the Dreamcast or the Mega Drive, or even like developers of games that we grew up with. I just last week I had one of the most fun interviews and guests ever, which was Steve Lysett, who worked on Outrun 2, Sega Superstars Tennis, All Stars Racing Transformed. He was the most awesome guy. So that's the kind of people we get on the show, and obviously many Shenmue related guests. Like
I was going to say, voice actors,
obviously, exactly, and hopefully we'll get more in the future. The most recent one, like in terms of voice actors, was Eric Kelso last season. Yeah, but just like you said, we had Adam Scipione on the show as well this week. So yeah. Whenever I can, I always have some sort of Shenmue reference every week on the show, even if it's just a question in the Sega Launch Challenge.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice asking some of these old people that you speak to that used to work in Sega as well. I know you do drop the Shenmue name a couple of times. I think you dropped it to Elliot.
Elliot Kidner, yeah.
Yeah, I think you definitely dropped it to him at one point.
Yeah.
Which is always nice to hear. But yeah, absolutely fantastic show. Like Casey says, go find it. We'll leave links in the description below anyway in the show notes. Direct link to the Sega Lounge. Also in issue 2 of Shenmue World, actually, Casey.
Yes,
a bit of a feature in there as well, which was
very
cool.
nice, very kind to invite me to be a part of as well.
And if you do own that particular issue of the magazine, if you scan the QR code, I forget how I did it, but it directly goes to your Shenmue episodes of the show. Maybe you've got a search tool on your website or something.
Yeah, I do. I have like one of the categories is Shenmue.
There you go.
Of course.
Perfect. So that's probably the best place to start if you're enjoying your audio podcast form and you want some more Shenmue content there. Definitely check out the Sega Lounge with KC.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. So finding yourself, are you on Twitter or something? Do you want to just end with?
Yeah, I am. So at KC Radio Man. Although I'm not really that active on there, I'm mostly more active on the Sega Lounge Twitter, by the
Okay.
way. So that's at the Sega Lounge as well. But at KC Radio Man, drop me a DM if you want to chat.
There you go.
Always available. Or maybe not.
Maybe not. Okay. Well, it's been an absolute blast having you on the show today talking Shenmue. I thought actually I could have gave you a Shenmue Dojo show seal of approval for your performance in the
Nice.
Place. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much. I was actually terrified of whatever challenge was coming.
It
So
wasn't too bad, was it?
I thought we did pretty well there,
Yeah.
Matt. Yes.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
It's good.
Next time, if we have you back on for like a round 2, I'll try and go really hard with the song choices, eh?
No need for that.
Maybe a bit too
at all.
generous.
No, this was fine. Now I know what people feel like.
Definitely scared, terrified.
But thank you very much for inviting me on this show, guys. Really appreciate it. And
You're welcome.
big fan of the podcast, and the whole community. So big shout out to all Shenmue fans who are part of the Shenmue Dojo. And we are all part of this together, right? We all are trying to keep the dream alive, but you guys especially, much love to everyone.
Much appreciated, dude. Matt, where can people find us?
I do this spiel every time, and I'm sure I'll leave somewhere out. So, Twitter, you can find us on Twitter at Shenmue_Dojo, Facebook, Shenmue Dojo, Instagram, Shenmue Dojo, Twitch, yes, you guessed it, twitch.tv/Shenmue Dojo. YouTube, we've got a bit of variety here. Shenmue Dojo VOD, you can find us on there as well.
Worth a mention.
And we release streams every fortnight. There's videos on there pretty much every week at the moment as well, and that's where the bulk of our content you will find on YouTube and Twitter. And I think that's everywhere. I'm sure I've probably missed somewhere, but give us a like, share, subscribe, all the usual stuff, guys. And thank you so much for dropping in on the content, and KC for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you very much.
Excellent stuff, guys. Thanks for listening all the way to the end if you made it this far. And we'll see you again soon. Take care.
See you later.
Bye.
Oh, what I do? Oops, I'm out of here.